SportsGrid College Football today. It's another Saturday. It's week number 8, and my goodness, it's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Lisi. We don't even need to get the game started today before we've already had action from what happened, Joe, on a Friday night. But big games on Saturday. Unbelievable bad performances on Friday,
The
Joe.
dogs were barking last night. All three dogs covered. 2-1 outright in Louisville last night, knocking off top-ranked Miami. And then we saw the upset Minnesota just abusing Nebraska and Matt Rule. And Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels were in a position to potentially pull that game out. They lost it 21-18. It sets the stage, Donnie, for a fantastic week number 8. But all eyes on Miami. Carson Beck with a terrible performance. Where do the Hurricanes respond the rest of the way?
It's just a bad performance. It's one of those what we've seen from Miami over the past couple of years, Joe. And the reason why we talk about it is the Miami Hurricanes are supposed to win a football game. The Miami Hurricanes don't win that supposed football game. 24-21 didn't even tell the whole story because you had a team coming in rested and ready in Miami. Number 2, finally starting to live up to the expectations. A team you're supposed to put away at home, and they couldn't put them away. And you're right about this. Carson Beck, 4 turnovers, and none worse than the last one of the game, which was a deflected pass and a great play by a linebacker on Louisville to seal that game. I thought Miami had a legitimate chance to come back, but they didn't deserve to win the game. No. The better team was Louisville,
Now,
Joe.
came out flat. Yeah. Now, when you look at the series, the past 2 years, Louisville has played Miami very tough. Last year, they dropped a 52-45 matchup. They didn't cover the Cardinals as a 4.5-point home dog. 2 years ago in South Beach when they made it to the ACC championship game, they won that matchup. Yeah. They were laying 1 point on the road. But you just look at the passing performances by Jack Plummer and Tyler Shuck in back-to-back years. Louisville was averaging 308 passing yards per game, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Here comes Miller Moss with one of his better performances, 247 through the air, 2 touchdowns. Chris Bell with another dynamic performance, really ripped the game open in the second half. And again, that defense for Louisville brought it from a physicality perspective, and that's why they won the matchup last night.
Yeah, the physicality was the name of the game because you look at Miami, that power running game, that big, nasty offensive line, couldn't do anything, couldn't move any bodies on the front line. If your quarterback's turning the football over and the other team plays sound football, you're going to wind up with upsets like you saw yesterday. Tough scene for Miami, but it is the new college football, Joe.
It is.
One loss does not end your season. You can rebound, but that loss Miami wasn't expected. You looked at the remaining schedule. You thought they probably would run the table. Now they have to run the table. Just a bad performance overall for Miami. But as expected, every time Miami gets out to a pretty good start in the season, it usually ends in dismay, and maybe it does again this year as well. And also, before we get to Nebraska and Minnesota, Joe, you're talking about Carson Beck entering into the game yesterday as one of the Heisman Trophy finalists. That's no longer the case. He plummeted. You can't have no touchdowns and 4 interceptions to get beat by a team that you were 2 touchdowns better than at home. It can't happen.
Plus 350 as the favorite coming into the game. He ends it at 40-1 now.
Bye. Yeah.
Unbelievable. But we saw this from Carson Beck last year, Donnie, on road performances with the Bulldogs. Didn't have great performances against Ole Miss, Texas, and most notably Alabama. This game comes at home, and we saw Miami last year. Same type of spot against Virginia Tech. They got lucky with the Hail Mary as a double-digit home favorite. They prevailed last year. Not this year. And again, same old question mark for Mario Cristobal. Can they respond the rest of the way? But it really sets the stage for the game in the ACC. Georgia Tech and Clemson, whichever team wins, Georgia Tech and Duke, whichever team wins is going to have the front spot in the ACC.
Wide open ACC now because that loss yesterday. And by the way, Louisville sits at 5-1 now. Brahm, the head coach, he does very well against top 20, top 10 teams here. Which brings us up to the next point. Penn State Nittany Lions last week made a change from the head coaching position, and they needed to do that. It was the right thing to do. But all eyes were on the prize of, the returning conqueror. It's going to be Matt Rule. Look at the programs that he built up in Temple and Baylor, and now he goes over to Nebraska, which he doesn't beat anybody ranked anyway. And last night it felt like if they could just win that game, Matt Rule would probably accept the Penn State job at a massive pay increase, or at least get a massive pay increase there. That is a fantastic graphic work by the team. In the background with James Franklin basically looking for luggage at this point. But, Joe, 24-6, Nebraska embarrassed themselves last night, and now Penn State's probably like, we can't even hire this guy if we wanted to now, Joe.
Same old. I mean, you're getting a carbon copy of a good coach, not an elite head coach. We saw Cignetti sign the deal, the extension, 8 years, $93 million. Potential talk about Lane Kiffin signing an extension. So where do they turn? Do they go to Matt Rule, the former alum? But you're talking about a team in Nebraska that got abused by Minnesota.
Yep.
Entering that game, Donnie, they had lost 5 straight to the Golden Gophers. It's now 6 straight. They've lost by an average margin of defeat of 11.6 points per game. Matt Rule can't even beat P.J. Fleck. He's 0-2 against Minnesota during his tenure. Is that what you want for Penn State? Because you could beat the likes of Minnesota maybe at Penn State and maybe Purdue and Illinois. But if you can't beat Michigan and Ohio State, it's not worth the money. So, again, where do they turn moving forward? We'll see how this plays out. But for Penn State, they have to get off the mat today against Iowa.
Great job by Matt Rule, obviously, with the Temple, regime there, filling in for Al Golden. But then you go to Baylor, does a decent job. Then you take the job with the money in the NFL, doesn't work out. You go to Nebraska, big money, it's not working out here. Maybe you could parlay into Penn State. Going to be a tough sell now on Penn State Nation at this point if they want to hire Matt Rule at this point. But let's get to some of the action today, Joe, as we start, because usually we're right into the biggest games of the day. But yesterday, so many big things happened in Friday Night Football. We certainly had to regard and go over that. Ole Miss, Georgia, SEC action, 3:30 kickoff. Joe, this look-ahead line was a minus 10.5-point spread for Georgia. We're now down under a touchdown at some outlets. Most outlets, let's just call it a perfect 7 at this point. A total, Joe, 54.5, now increasing to 57.5. Ole Miss, Georgia, between the hedges. Gotta love this one.
Yeah, it really is. And they got the victory last year in Oxford. Let's not forget, they beat up Georgia in the trenches. That was one of the better rush defenses in all of college football last year, led by Walter Nolan. They contained Carson Beck. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. The rushing attack in a rain-soaked game couldn't get going, and Ole Miss dominated with Jackson Dart. Now it's a true road environment for Trinidad Chambliss. How does that affect this team? Last week they struggled with Washington State, 31.5-point favorite. They win it 24-21. We know that Georgia last time struggled with Alabama in a big matchup. 7.5 for most of the week after the 9.5, 10 on Sunday. Now it's under that key number. The matchup, Donnie, is going to be, can Ole Miss shut down the Georgia rushing attack? Georgia averaging 185 rushing yards per game. Ole Miss giving up 156 on the ground. They did it against LSU and Tulane. I think it's a different animal today with revenge. I lean to Georgia in the matchup.
Yeah, I think Georgia is the right side in this game too, Joe. As we take a look at how we got here is usually what we like to look at. The LSU game on the 27th of September, 24-19. You'll take a win in the SEC at any time. That was a 5-point close win. Washington State game was interesting, though. Many expected a blowout, a cruise control victory, but maybe they had their eyes on the prize of who's coming up next week, 24-21. Then you take a look at Georgia, who, credit them because they went to the Plains and knocked off Auburn. That game had a lot of controversy. It doesn't look like to me both of these teams really in rhythm entering into this one, but maybe they both were looking ahead to this game, Joe.
It's possible. I think for Lane Kiffin, obviously, you're a 31.5-point favorite. You got the victory a couple weeks ago over LSU. You don't want to show all that much. For Georgia, rivalry game against Auburn. They did get beat up a bit in the first half. The critical, controversial call with Jackson Arnold, that really changed the momentum. Now there's no room for error. Georgia has one loss. They can't afford another home loss. And Ole Miss, potentially, if they win, Donnie, they're in the driver's seat in the SEC. They can afford a loss down the stretch and still make it to the college football playoff and an SEC championship. Contrast in styles. Blue-collar offense for Georgia, wide open of attack for Ole Miss. Which defense will be better and win the turnover battle? I'll still take my shot with Kirby Smart laying 6.5.
Also this, Joe, you take a look at Ole Miss's schedule. They're unbeaten 3-0 in the SEC. Week number 1, they open up against Georgia State. Their only road game was at Kentucky, a close one, 30-23. The remaining games, Arkansas, Tulane, LSU, and Washington State, all at home. A little bit different of a ground here when you're going down inside the hedges there to take on the University of Georgia. But also from a Georgia perspective, looking to make it right. Secondly, they don't like to lose home games. No. They got beat by Alabama in a close game, but they did lose that one. I do give the edge to Georgia. Like the defense more. And also, Chambliss, do we have enough film on him now where other teams' defensive coordinators, Joe, can sort of sink their teeth into?
Yeah, well, if you're looking at mobility, Trinidad Chambliss could be the X factor today because Georgia has struggled with mobile quarterbacks. They struggled with Jackson Arnold this year in the first half against Auburn last week. They struggled with Jalen Milroe in the first half against Alabama last year. They need to contain him on the perimeter, force him into long, predictable third downs to generate a pass rush. We'll see. One of the worst secondaries for Georgia completion percentage dating back to 2020, so that's a matchup.
Yeah, great battle here in the SEC. That's sort of our game of the day here. But also, Joe, there is another big game of the day in the SEC. It's 7:30 tonight. It's Tennessee and it's Alabama. We're going to hit that game next right here on SportsGrid. College football today. Welcome to Saturday.
at some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, like, dude, like the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back to the SEC, which not a shame here. I love talking about SEC football here on SportsGrid College Football today. As we were previewing here coming up before the break, you got Tennessee and Alabama tonight. Fantastic rivalry here. You take a look at the spread, Joe. Opening number, 8.5. Actually seeing an increase towards Alabama. We're getting close to 10s now. 9.5 at most outlets right now, depending on where you're shopping at. How about a total? 52.5 is the look ahead, Joe. 58.5 to 59.5. We're expecting points tonight, but also, before we get this game started, any injury concerns that we might be worried about here, Joe?
Well, Jam Miller got banged up at the end of the Missouri game. Concussion protocol, potentially. He's probable today.
Yeah.
So I just tell everybody, just be cautious about the rushing props for Jam Miller. He might not be 100%. They might not utilize him as much in that offense. Anytime touchdown could always be in jeopardy as well. But the series perspective, Donnie, is pretty intriguing. Third Saturday of October, baby. It doesn't get better than this when Tennessee and Alabama play. Now, Tennessee has won 2 of the last 3 in the series, both in Knoxville. Hendon Hooker 2 years ago, and obviously last year they stepped up and won 24-17. From 2007 to 21, it was all Alabama. They had won 15 straight games against Tennessee by an average margin of victory of 25.8 points per game. They're 35-1, the Crimson Tide are, at home in Bryant-Denny, dating back to 2020 with Nick Saban. They've won these games this year against opponents by an average margin of victory of 37.6 points per game. The last time Tennessee, Donnie, beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 2003, 5 overtimes. Casey Clausen and Brody Kroll went to 5 overtimes.
Rainbow, Alabama.
51-43, the Volunteers won it. So not going to be easy, but I do like the rushing attack of Tennessee. They're averaging well over 200 rushing yards per game. How they run tempo, I think, will be a factor. We saw Alabama contain Ahmad Hardy last week. Different rushing attack with Bishop and Star Thomas. I think they could get the ball rolling, momentum, run the football, work off of play action. This is not the same Alabama defense, front seven-wise, that we've seen in years past. They're giving up $156 on the ground. I like Tennessee to keep it close. Don't be shocked, in my opinion, if they potentially strike the upset tonight.
8.5 to 9.5 out there in the marketplace here. 2 really good quarterbacks, Joe. If we focus on Alabama's quarterback, Ty Simpson, we've talked about him each and every week. Close to 1,700 yards passing on the season, 16 touchdowns, and 1 interception throwing the football. He's been sensational. You look at the Heisman odds here. Mendoza plus 250, Ty Simpson plus 250. Big game, SEC, Talk to me about Ty Simpson today.
Yeah, Ty Simpson should eat. You talk about Tennessee's weakness, it is in the secondary. They're giving up 257 passing yards per game, more importantly, allowing 66% completion percentage. So the weakness, when we've seen Syracuse, even in week 1 against Tennessee, move the football through the air with Steve Angeli. So that's going to be the matchup for Ty Simpson. What's intriguing is in the win last week against Missouri, Ryan Williams, no catches. He didn't have any yards in that win. They need to get Bernard and Ryan Williams involved. They might have a speed advantage on the perimeter. But I'll tell you what, as much as I like Tennessee too, Donnie, I think we could blow through this 58.5 just because of how this game might potentially play out. I think Alabama's weak in run support. I think Tennessee's potentially weak in the secondary. We might have a similar game to what we saw Georgia and Tennessee play out just about 4 weeks ago, 44-41. We might get 80 points. Still like Tennessee with the points. I like Simpson to potentially go over his number, but I do feel we could blow through this total.
Let me ask you a question about Alabama, too, because, usually, iron sharpens iron, as we like to say, but also you can get worn down in an SEC competition. You see the opening game against Florida State where they played, I'm talking about Alabama, lost that game. You came back, you blew out ULM. It was easy. Wisconsin, don't worry about it, 38-14. But, Joe, 3 straight weeks. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri. But then you take a look at Tennessee, UAB, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Sometimes I look at the schedules and say, yeah, I really like what Alabama's done. But now you're asking them their 4th legitimate competitor in 4 weeks here? That's tough.
Yeah, and a rivalry game, right? So whenever you see a rivalry game, I'm always inclined to take the points, especially when it's well over a key number of 7 points. Again, it's not going to be easy. We know Tennessee's been dominated in Bryant-Denny, but you have an offense that could potentially exploit that weakness of Alabama's defense. And again, who can win on 3rd down? I like Joey Aguilar. I think the difference this year from what we saw last year with Nico, Aguilar's going to wear it on his sleeve. He's a lot like Diego Pavia. He's going to give you 150% to potentially pull out this ball game. And sometimes that's all you need when you're playing with house money. So I think Tennessee has a legitimate shot tonight.
You take a look at Alabama, the rest of their schedule, Joe, at South Carolina, then LSU, then Oklahoma, 3 tough SEC games right after that. Eastern Illinois, they always give that little layup game before they take on the Iron Bowl and play Auburn. If I ask you this question, and again, it's one team has an SEC loss, one team doesn't. Who can afford this loss, Joe? Because there's going to be an SEC team that's going to make the college football playoff with 2 losses, no doubt about it. But both of these teams with 1, who can afford the loss?
I would say it's Alabama because of brand recognition, right? Just because Alabama with 2 losses, they would still be inclined knowing that they beat Missouri, an undefeated team. They knocked off Vanderbilt, an undefeated team, and they knocked off Georgia and snapped a 33-game home winning streak. The benefit of the doubt, I think, goes to Alabama. But if you're Tennessee and you lose the game, and margin of defeat is going to matter as well. We talk about Notre Dame with close losses to Miami and Texas A&M. If Tennessee loses by margin, let's say within 8.5 points, then they might be getting the benefit of the doubt. But if they get blown out, Donnie, they could potentially free fall outside maybe the top 20 and all of a sudden be at the bottom of the top 25 and then going to be very difficult to get back in.
Yeah, take a look at good losses, right? Let's just say Tennessee goes on the road, loses by a field goal, because understand what they also have up. Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, Florida, and Vanderbilt. A little bit more manageable schedule there, where if you do lose this game and have 2 losses, run the table. And let's just say you don't even make the SEC championship game. They'll be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, they were there last year, and I think they're a better team. Now, again, can they put up points against Alabama? Because if they can do that, we always talk about style points. I think the committee's going to have a very difficult time this year if we have multiple 2 or even 3 loss teams saying, who do we want in the college football playoff? Do we want a team like Notre Dame last year that played in the national championship game? Do we want Tennessee that went there and got blown out by Ohio State last year? So, again, it's going to come down to style points, how they win, how they lose, and that'll ultimately dictate it. I don't think Tennessee could afford a blowout loss, obviously, but if they show well and get the victory, they're in the driver's seat then. They can be an outside shot. They have great value, I believe 25-1 to win an SEC championship.
I'll tell you about this, too. When we talk about the Heisman odds, which you see just 1 games where they make differences, like Carson Beck was rated on cruise control. He's now out of the race. As I say that, Ty Simpson, as we talked about, just looking at FanDuel, Joe, plus 240 price. But if I slide it down, Joey Aguilar, 40-1. He goes on the road with a big performance. That gets cut in half.
Yeah.
You don't have a great performance by Ty Simpson, he's probably 10-1 or higher. What a volatile market and a lot of fun for this stuff to sort of break down. It's Joe Lisi, it's Donnie Rightside. It's Saturday. It's the Sports Grid Network. We break down college football. More of that coming up next.
At some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me, I'm rich, I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, like, dude, like, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
What is this, an all-SEC showcase today?
great.
I love to see. Love to talk some SEC football, and also a game that's going to kick off at noon. You got 12 o'clocks, you got 3:30s, you got 7:30 starts here, primetime action, and the SEC, which will determine a national champion. Why? It looks like 5 or 6 teams can actually make the playoffs in the SEC as it stands now. LSU and Vanderbilt is on the docket, Joe. It's a noon kickoff. Like, you know, me and you growing up in the 80s, right? Like, hey, by the way, the local. Whoa, LSU getting points from Vanderbilt. What? No way. What do you mean? Minus 25, minus 30, minus 35 today. Vanderbilt minus 2.5 points as a favorite over LSU. Diego Pavia and the boys. Who would have thought this? Nussmeier and LSU. I know you love Vandy today.
Yeah, no shot. No, come on. There I am. I look fantastic.
Was that Mike the Tiger next to you?
I tell you, you know what's amazing?
Wow.
Is that I'm better looking in person. AI can't make me look better, which is incredible.
Now,
that just shows how good looking I really am.
Any other Lisi's in the pictures here?
She's back home. She's back home. There's a family weekend this weekend. They're on break. But let me just say this.
Number one.
From the series perspective, LSU's dominated. They've won 10 straight against Vanderbilt, the last 4 by an average margin of victory of 23.2 points per game. Last year, they won this game by 7 points, but didn't cover. They got a late backdoor touchdown that cut that game by 7 points. They were catching 8.5. Vanderbilt was. But Vandy's deserving, at least up until this point, to potentially be a 2.5-point home favorite. Now, key injury. Whitweek's starting linebacker out, will not play in this matchup. How does that affect the defense? This defense has only given up 102 rushing yards per game. You have a Vanderbilt offense rushing for well over 200. We saw them strike early against Alabama. They need to maintain gap integrity. They can't crash down on the ends. Otherwise, Diego Pavia is going to kill them in this matchup. But they get Aaron Anderson potentially back. LSU does. I think the passing attack for LSU could really expose that secondary over the top. I know Vandy contained Ty Simpson for the most part. They forced him to work down the field. This is a different animal. You saw hints of that last week against South Carolina with Garrett Nussmeier, 253, 2-2. I think they step up with a huge performance. I will say this. Brian Kelly in his tenure at Notre Dame, on the road or on a neutral field, traditionally over a 700 winning percentage. In Death Valley, he's only 11-10. straight up. That's terrible. You need a better effort. I did take a shot today. I took LSU plus the 2.5, took them on the money line. Also booked Nussmeier 60-1 for a Heisman and 25-1 to win the SEC. There's great value there. If you think LSU is going to win, there's no margin of error. You cannot lose this game. I know Vanderbilt's good. LSU should be better.
Take a look at this too, Joe, because the tale of two teams, I always like to say. Look at LSU's defense. We'll just go over the last 5 games. 7 points given up to Louisiana Tech. It's Louisiana Tech, though. You take a look at 10 points given up to the University of Florida. 10 points given up to Southeast Louisiana. 24 points given up to Ole Miss. Ole Miss, pretty good offense, no doubt about it. 10 points last week against SC. Now, you say, well, Donnie, why would you bring up the defense? Because we are led to believe that Vanderbilt has an elite offense.
Right.
Vanderbilt's last 5 games, 44, 31, 70, 55, but against elite competition in Alabama, 14 points.
Right.
What are we looking at from Vanderbilt's offense when they step up and play? Can they run this up here and score 25-plus points?
Donnie, they can. They're averaging 6.5 yards per carry. I mean, if they rush for 6.5 yards in this game, it's going to open up the play-action passing attack. And Diego Pavia is a very good quarterback. 71% completion percentage. It's going to be there. They're only giving up and allowing Vanderbilt 90 rushing yards per game, but that really hasn't been the strength of LSU. If LSU is going to win this game, they got to utilize their speed. Trey-Des Green, the tight end, stepped up against South Carolina. We saw Nussmeier look healthier, did get beat up a little bit by South Carolina. Very physical front seven last week. Can that translate on the road? It's a fast track. You're on the road. You've dominated this team. Vanderbilt loves to strike first and put the pressure on. But if you're LSU, you have to strike first, and you have to open up the offense. Cannot be complacent in this ballgame. Again, I think Brian Kelly, with his back against the wall, opens it up. I like the over 47.5, but I like LSU outright. I think the book established Vanderbilt properly, FPI-wise. But again, I'm buying it. Give me the points.
Like in SEC play for LSU, the thing that I don't think we worried about, Joe, coming into the season with a Brian Kelly offense with Nussmeier is they should be able to score points. Florida game, 20 points. Okay. You take a look at the Ole Miss game, 19 points. Against South Carolina, 20 points here, Joe. When's that real offense going to show up today?
If you watch the South Carolina game, right, they had 3 opportunities inside the red zone, 2 interceptions and a fumble. You come away with 3 points. Can't have that against a very good team that's positive in turnover margin in Vanderbilt. I will say this, though. If they could force Diego Pavia into long third downs, that secondary only allowing opposing quarterbacks to complete 58% of their passes. We saw them shut down DJ Lagway. We saw them shut down Lenora Sellers. Diego's, if they have that type of effort today, Donnie, he's going to be up against it. That's why I'll still roll. What travels well is the defense. Without Whit Weeks, I don't care. Give me the Tigers outright.
Yeah, Whit Weeks running sideline to sideline, not being there is going to be a disadvantage for LSU's defense. But understand this. You look at Diego Pavia, 56.5 rushing yards today. Correlation in like wins and covering spreads. Vanderbilt, to me, doesn't win this game unless Pavia gets 60-plus rushing yards in this game. That's how I look at it here. Best of the rest coming up next. You know who the best is? It's Notre Dame, boys.
At some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, like, dude, like the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every right here on SportsGrid.
The best of the rest. It's a Saturday. It's a SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Lisi. Don't you worry about Joe Lisi right now. You focus right here on me at this point, because it's the part of the show that we do each and every week. And it's where Donnie tells you where he's right and when he's wrong. And he's not often wrong. And I was right on this. Notre Dame dropped their first 2 games of the season, then went on to beat Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, and NC State. And Joe Lisi, remind me, Arkansas, they gave up 13 points. Great defense. Boise State, they gave up 7 points. Great defense. NC State, they gave up 7 points. Great defense. And now we look at Notre Dame on the precipice of now saying, you know what? Forget about just making the college football playoff. Put us in there to win a national championship. I feel like I was the only one beating the drum for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to start this season. There was no way they were going to beat Miami. Forget about what happened with Miami last night. Miami's legitimate. How about Texas A&M? Legitimate. Both of those teams turned out to be top 10 teams. And there is me, Joe, the climb. Boy, we were in the gully right here. We were in the Marianas Trench out there in the Pacific Ocean, as low as you could possibly go, and now we're climbing Mount Everest. Me and the leprechaun. That's the way it's done.
You're about to fall off a cliff potentially. You know.
Nope.
Now, you said to me at the start of the year, maybe a couple of weeks ago, college football is so much better when the Hurricanes are doing well, right? So they fell off a cliff last night.
You got to help out everybody else.
Right. So now we hang our hat on Notre Dame.
Yes.
Right. Now, this is a game that they have owned in recent years. They've won 6 of the last 7 against USC.
Lucky
and, you know, the way it's shaping up now, I will give you more credit now because Miami lost.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden we could have a number of different teams potentially fighting, you know, for 2 or 3 lost football team. If Notre Dame gets this win because USC now is back in the top 25 after they wrecked Michigan, a one-dimensional offense, they're going to get love. We'll see how this plays out. They have a heartbeat, obviously more so, I believe, this week than they did last week. We'll see how it plays out. But when you look at this matchup, for USC, and again, I called out Lincoln Riley. I was wrong against Michigan. But you're paid the $11 million to win this type of game. They lost at 49-35 last year. Mayava had 2 key critical interceptions. They brought them both back to the house. Can USC be physical enough on the road? Because we saw them lose to Maryland and Minnesota last year in the Big Ten. Can they be physical and run support? If they can, take the 8.5, 9.5 points. USC wins it potentially outright. I don't see that. I think the way Notre Dame is running the football, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Different animal than it was last week with Bryce Underwood. I don't think C.J. Carr does a lot, and I believe in Notre Dame's defense at home to win and cover this game. Lincoln Riley should be called out if they lose this matchup.
By the way, Joe, we take a look at this game, too, and sort of set the table because Notre Dame isn't just like, hey, can they win the football game? They're expected to win. They're double-digit favorites now live at most outlets right now. But here's the interesting part. 65.5 was that total, and you see that on the placard now down to 60.5. We're now seeing 59.5 and maybe dropping sooner. Heavy rain expected in the forecast tonight in South Bend, which I do think benefits Notre Dame.
Right.
An athletic quarterback that can get around the pocket, but maybe, Joe, we were saying entering in the season, really good top 5. I think this is the best backfield in college football as a tandem when you take a look there at Price and Love, and I think that's going to play out. That's a heavy price, but it also feels like most people probably would lean towards SC getting 10.5 points now, which, contrarian me, goes, fire up Notre Dame. That defense has been great. They'll be able to run the football. Maybe a lower scoring game due to the rainy conditions.
It's possible. Yeah. Again, how does USC adjust the game plan, with the offense? Obviously, we'll know in the first quarter. Again, USC running the football very effectively. They're averaging well over 4.5 yards per carry, well over 170 yards per game. Yeah. So they were able to take it to Michigan last week as well. But you look at the last 2 games, Donnie, in the series, 48 and 49 points by Notre Dame. The USC defense has had no answers for Notre Dame's offense, and sometimes your offense can benefit your defense.
Yeah.
They are going to need to sustain drives, I believe. They can't go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and all of a sudden Price and Jeremiah Love are ripping your defense for 5 and 8 yards per carry. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. So we'll see how this game plays out. I do favor the rushing attack and physicality of Notre Dame. The way they're running the football right now is as good as anybody. That translates into this type of matchup against a defense that hasn't answered the bell up until this point.
Those Notre Dame Fighting Irish looking now to be on the cusp of a top 10 ranking here. Knock off SC, get it done, make that charge into the college football playoff. Joe, next game we're going to talk about, hey, no surprise, SEC, baby, 7:45 tonight. This is an interesting one because we always talk about X's and O's and how these teams match up. Tough loss last week for Missouri. Tough loss last week for Auburn. But on the road, Missouri is a 1.5-point favorite here at most outlets. You take a look at the total, Joe, extremely low at 43.5. Expectations for a bounce back on which side, Missouri or Auburn? I mean,
for me, I would say Missouri, just because they have everything to play for at this point. You talk about the optimism of Auburn. They start 3-0. It looked like Hugh Freeze was getting off the schneid, and all of a sudden they lose 3 conference games to Oklahoma A&M in a rivalry game in Georgia. They threw the kitchen sink from a defensive perspective at the Bulldogs. They held Georgia to 79 rushing yards per game, 2.5 yards per carry, right? Now, do we expect that for a 4th time in a row with nothing to play for? Hugh Freeze could be on the outside looking in for a job. Donnie, I lean to Missouri. My best play, though, is the over, because I think that defense all of a sudden gives up now after 3 straight performances where they didn't win a game. Their offense couldn't bail them out. I think Missouri gets back to form. Prabula, Ahmad Hardy, big days. I like Missouri from the spread perspective, but I think we blow right through this 43.5.
Yeah, we're talking about last week with Auburn. No moral victories, or no moral losses, I should say, in those games. You got to pick up wins. If you're not winning in the SEC, you're going to be fired sooner than later here. Let's flip it over to the ACC, which turned into a monster game today, a noon kickoff. That is Georgia Tech and Duke, Joe. The opening line had the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets as a -1.5-point favorite. Every outlet, 3 to 3.5. Not for Georgia Tech, but for the Duke Blue Devils. And a total, Joe, now up to 59.5. Big stakes in the ACC now.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to go back to Nebraska now, because that loss for Matt Rule is all of a sudden now more rumor, or the pendulum is more in favor of Manny Diaz. We don't know at that point. That's always a factor when we talk about the coaching perspective. I do feel that Duke is a little bit more physical on the offense and defensive lines as opposed to Georgia Tech. I took Georgia Tech as the best bet last week. They eked out a cover against Virginia Tech. I love Haynes King. I love Jamal Haynes. And keep an eye out for Malachi Holsley, the transfer from Penn. He ripped that Virginia Tech defense, 11 yards per carry, 124 yards on the ground. It's over a key number. So, like, they're begging you to take Georgia Tech, I feel like. I would lay it reluctantly with Duke. I do believe in Menza. I do believe in the physicality of Manny Diaz on the defensive side of the ball playing at home. I would reluctantly lay it. But you have to be if they get this win, Donnie, Duke, Diaz could be the front runner now for the job.
Amazing. Diaz might be the front runner for the Miami job again. You know what I mean? At this point,
no,
right
you
now,
can't. Donnie, he can't
Mario.
go back. He can't go back. Oh, you're buying into Mario being a complete flop, aren't you?
No. The comeback's always stronger than the fall down, Joe. That's what they like to say in college football. And how about this? The Holy War, Joe. Utah and BYU. When I was growing up as a kid watching like Ty Detmer and knock off Miami, which really upset me, it's a great atmosphere for football, and the rivalry is sincere. But having said this, -1.5, Joe, they're now up to 3.5 here for Utah. Are you buying BYU unbeaten at home? Come on now.
This is a tough game. I mean, again, Bachmeier and BYU just seem to. They rope-a-dope you, right? They play down to the level of competition, and then they all of a sudden win. Now, Dampier got a very good win. He rushed for over 100 yards on the ground against Arizona State. They cover as a 5.5-point home favorite against the Sun Devils. Jeff Sims, though, completely one-dimensional. Is a huge downgrade from Sam Levitt to where Jeff Sims is. He's a better runner than he is passer, and that defense has bounced back into form. I would take the points with BYU. I don't love this game all that much, rivalry game. I do feel, though, we can get over the total. I know both defenses are physical, but 49.5 in the Holy War, I would take BYU as a home dog, and I would take over the 49 and a hook.
Let's squeeze one more in here, Joe. Texas A&M and Arkansas. Again, weather conditions are going to come into this. Heavy rain at times for A&M, who now is a top 5 team, favored by 7.5 on the road, 58.5 is the total. It's one of those, I don't want to say look-ahead game. They should win this one. Any trap scenarios here?
I like Arkansas. Here's the thing. You know, the last 3 games in this now, remember, for 8 years it was played in Arlington. It's played in Fayetteville today. But I buy into Bobby Petrino. Last 3 games have been decided by 6.7 points per game, 21-17 last year. I'm taking the
Big. How do you call it, Joe? Whoa.
Keep an eye out for the Omega break.
All right. We'll see what happens in that game. But you know what's going to come up next now? Coach Terry Bowden's coming in here. He was at Auburn last week. He saw that Georgia game. Let's get that information next from the coach.
At some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me, I'm rich, I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, like, dude, like, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid college football today on a Saturday. No better place to be. It's Donnie Rightside along with Joe Lisi. Now we're bringing the coach, Terry Bowden, here. We got so many good games, so much big-time information to get to. Coach, happy to have you here. How are we feeling about today's slate?
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be great from 11 o'clock here on Central Time all the way till midnight. We got great football all across the board. I'm looking forward to it.
Coach, sometimes they say in college football and also professional sports, you're hired to be fired. No bigger job on the market right now than the Penn State Nittany Lions. We thought maybe Matt Rule, his dream job. Boy, that was not a good look last night from him. But, Coach, talk to me about the Penn State spot, and who do you think possibly could fit in there?
Well, you know, Mark Rule, I put on X yesterday, if you want to get your name off the carousel, just lose to Minnesota. He did. But the guy whose name is going to come on there big, if it's not already big, is Manny Diaz. If he can pull off this win at Duke, it will be big, Joe. I heard you talking about it. But y'all tell me that who is the best coach, the most successful coach in the ACC? Joe, do you know who that is?
Dabo.
Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom has won more games. Jeff Brom just did to me. He had the best game plan based off an off week, got 14 points out of it, and beat Miami because of those 14 points and the turnovers. Jeff Brom, I'll be honest with you, his name ought to be on everybody's list because he is the winningest coach in the ACC over the last 3 years.
Yeah, amazing stuff last night out of Louisville, suffocating Miami's offense, something I didn't see coming last night. A 2-touchdown favorite goes up in flames. Louisville gets that victory. With Coach, you know, you always talk about in the coaching stream, like, you're out there advanced scouting. You had a little bit of advanced scouting last week, Auburn and Georgia, as we talk about Ole Miss and Georgia today. What did you see from Georgia last week, and what do you think about Ole Miss and Georgia today on the field?
You know, we tend to talk about athletes, and most coaches will tell you he who has the best athletes almost always wins. But Kirby Smart is as good, if not the best, game day coach in the business. If he doesn't have it all figured out before the game starts, he gets it figured out by halftime. He did that against Georgia, took himself to a great second half, a big win on the road there. And that's going to be one of the differences. Now, I think Lane Kiffin, now there's a name that is a lot of people would try to get if they could, but Lane Kiffin does a good job. But I think the best field day coach is Kirby Smart. He's playing at home. They will not lose 2 at home. I think Trinidad Chambliss, this will be a tough environment for a guy who plays at Ole Miss every year and has never started in a big SEC stadium.
Coach, I also know you were on the road in Oxford last year where Ole Miss knocked off Georgia. So talk to me about what Ole Miss can do potentially from an offensive perspective to put Trinidad Chambliss in positive game situations, because we know their front seven isn't the same this year as it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss won 28-10 last year because they had better football players, better talent. This year, Georgia has a little better talent. But what Trinidad Chambliss can do is throw downfield. You can't play conservative. You're not going to go out there and beat Georgia at home playing conservative. He's best when he's throwing the ball downfield and then running the ball off the throw. I think that's his game. That's where you allow him to shine. And then I think you can't worry too much about, don't put him under too much pressure. I think that's the key, because I don't think Ole Miss does not have the front they had last year. I don't think they can stop completely Georgia's running game. Although they'll need to slow it down, and Georgia will need to get a fast start. But overall, Georgia will not lose 2 home games in the same year.
No better talking SEC football with an SEC legend and Coach Terry Bowden. And we're going to go over to Tuscaloosa. It's Tennessee versus Alabama. This line close to a double-digit favorite for Alabama and a total of 59.5. What are some matchup advantages here, either for Tennessee or Alabama for you, Coach?
Well, I think of this game, I think it's going to be a scoring match. I just have this feeling it's going to be the Tennessee-Georgia game all over again. Somebody's going to throw a touchdown or have an interception late that's going to change the game. You know what? Joey Aguilar has 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Ty Simpson, 17 touchdowns and 1 interception. I think you're going to have a bigger chance for Aguilar to make a mistake in that environment. I think he makes one more, but I think Tennessee will take the point. I'll take Tennessee in the points, although Alabama's going to win this football game.
Coach, big matchup at 12 noon in Nashville. Vanderbilt favored in the series for the first time since 1948 against LSU. Whit Weeks is out for this LSU defense. How does that play into this game plan today?
Well, he's a leader of the football team, and somebody's got to step up. You know, in football, when you're a coach, every time I have a key player injured, I look at my team and say, who's going to step up? Who's going to go out there on the field and lead the others as a leader and a strong person? They'll need someone to step up in place of him, because that's what he is. But I really like the way LSU's defense has been playing. They only give up 11.8 points a game. I think of all the positions on the field, the LSU defense is the strongest. Hard to go against Vandy. Their offense is awful good. Their quarterback is sensational. But I think LSU wins this one upright at Vanderbilt.
How about that? LSU on the road. Vanderbilt a favorite. It's crazy times how much things change in college football, and certainly credit to that coaching staff for Vanderbilt, Coach. Let's take a look at USC and Notre Dame. We had you on the early line yesterday. I thought it was a great conversation. Heavy rain expected in the forecast. So we look at a double-digit favorite for Notre Dame taking on SC. How did you get your players ready, Coach, if you knew the elements might be a little bit of a challenge?
Well, the first thing you do is during the week, you wet the ball. You make sure you got some water at practice and you wet the ball. But it's not like the old days. We pretty much register about 8 footballs for every game. You don't ever have to use a wet ball. If it's not raining hard, you don't ever have to play with a wet football, because you got a dry one every play. They change it out. The key is the feel soft. Is the field soft? I think that goes to USC's advantage, because defensive backs can't cover receivers on a wet, soggy field. It's to the receiver's advantage. I like this game. Notre Dame, though, can run the football. That's what you want to do in a wet day. I think they can run the football. I think that's how they control the clock. I think that's how they control the productive offense at USC. But this late, the spread has gone up to 10.5. I saw this morning, and once at that point, I think I like USC's points in this game. Although Notre Dame again at home is the winner, but I like the points on USC.
Should be intriguing to watch, Coach. And also, we saw the Miami Hurricanes get upset last night by Louisville. Talk to me what you would tell your team as Mario Cristobal after that loss here, and how you can still rescue that season.
Well, I mean, you turn the ball over 4 times. Should have been 5. Turn the ball over 5 times. Louisville did a great job of scheming they got 14 points off their off-week game plan. Great job by Jeff Brom of developing. But if you're Miami, you look at your tape and say, fellas, we gave that. We had 9 penalties. First half, we can eliminate that. That's a mental errors. We can eliminate the penalties, the interceptions, poor decisions. We can eliminate. Drop it. Let's go forward. Make sure you play well in the game after the loss, because everybody is usually going to lose one ball game. It's how you play after that loss.
That's a coach right there, Joe Lisi. That's Terry Bowden. We love to have him on each and every week on SportsGrid College Football Today. Big card today, Coach. Thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. And up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Rat Pack action here and the games you need to know right here on SportsGrid College Football.
At some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, the Dolphins press conference is making it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid College Football Today just rolls off the tongue on a Saturday here. We do it 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're here each and every weekend breaking down the information that you need, Joe, which includes the Rat Pack. We know we love big games and big prop bets and the biggest moments and the best head coaches to talk about. But sometimes, Joe, the best of the rest, that's good. The Rat Pack, even better.
This is your favorite segment of the
show. Get the cheese, man.
Is provolone? What do you want, Parmesan?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Blue cheese?
To me, mozzarella. Probably the best.
Hold
on. On a pizza. But if I get a sandwich, it's always provolone.
Really?
Always provolone.
You don't like the buffalo mutts, huh?
Yeah, it's not. You're getting too much into it there. Give me a sandwich. Give me a turkey. Give me an Italian hoagie. It's always provolone.
I'm a big cheese board guy. Blue cheese.
Nah.
I like the hard cheeses. Not the semi-softs. No good.
The hard blue cheese crumbles.
Yeah.
Put them on a salad.
Perfect.
A good salad at this
there
point.
You go. You got me hungry.
See that?
Let's
now
have
we're
lunch.
hungry for more football, which includes Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. Joe, Cincinnati's on the road, 24-point favorite here. What happened to the days of shooting it up out there?
They should win this game, Donnie, by a landslide. But for me, I would take the points with Oklahoma State. 23.5.
You have such an
Donnie,
affinity for Oklahoma State, though. Why,
23.5.
I don't think if we get honest handicaps at it.
What do you mean honest handicaps?
You just like Oklahoma State. You want Oklahoma State. You want to back them.
Satterfield, look, Cincinnati's doing very well. They got the victory over Iowa State at home, but they go on the road. This is Stillwater, you might get maybe 5,000 fans in Boone Pickens Stadium.
You know what they need? Terry Bowden, head coach of Oklahoma State. What do you think? Can we get Coach in there?
Yeah,
Did you see, by the way, the stands where they had the one guy waving his shirt over his head, then it turned into 2, 3, and a whole section? Did you see that?
I didn't think that was
Oklahoma State.
No.
Yeah? No.
No, it was.
Come on, had to
It was.
have been.
It was the game last week.
It wasn't Oklahoma State?
No, it was.
I just thought nobody showed up to Oklahoma State anymore, so it was Oklahoma State.
I forgot now.
By the way, quick check here. No more tortillas on the field at Texas Tech.
100. So that's the big thing in Texas Tech. Not this week. They're in Tempe, but first one's a warning.
Yep.
Second one is a 15-yard penalty and 100,000. But here's the thing. Do you think the fans care about the 100,000? They're not paying it.
So you think they're going to still throw tortillas no matter what? I don't know how they got away with in the past, to be honest. That should have been like an expulsion immediately.
15-yard penalty. They'll wait. They're going to wait till they're up 60. Might be up 60 today. We'll see how they
Maybe.
plays.
How about this game, Joe? Penn State, Iowa today. Total in this game, 40.5. No Drew Aller. He's done for the year. No James Franklin. Who knows? Maybe he shows up on a set somewhere today, Joe. How about this game? Iowa, only favored by 3. Is this 14-11 final? What is this? This is the ultimate Rat Pack game.
I can't take Penn State. I can't. I would lay it with Iowa. Now, it is funny that you're under a key number with Iowa blowing out Wisconsin and knowing that the dead man walking. Now, I will say the Jim Knowles experiment hasn't really panned out up until this point. That defense couldn't shut down.
You know, like a little Kodal Nicky. Did he get fired too? Who's the interim head coach, by the way? I don't even know.
I think it is Kolowicki. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, Donnie. It's under a key number of 2.5. It's, for me, an unbettable game. I would only look to the under here just because I think Penn State goes back to the ways of running the football. But, I mean, I would take the under 40.5. Traditionally, Penn State can't win in Iowa City. They struggle. We'll see.
But do we buy into, like, James Franklin's gone. Now, granted, the kids probably like James Franklin. The fan base didn't like him. Is there a bounce today, though? Or is there a bounce, or they get bounced? Like, is this a 21-3 game?
Yeah,
what is it?
But I think they get boat raced here. Here's the thing.
Boat race?
Well, the thing, Donnie, if this was like game 2 or 3, it's game like 5 now where they've been abused.
Maybe it was Drew Aller.
UCLA,
Scouts didn't like Drew Aller anymore. Said he wasn't playing well.
3 straight games, Oregon, UCLA, and now last week against Northwestern, and now you got to go on the road.
Got to bring back Michael
Robinson. You think
Robinson
Singleton and Allen are going to be up?
1-2
They're going to be worried about their careers NFL-wise.
You're going under in this game.
I'm not touching.
Wow, you don't like to go unders. That shows something here. How about this, Joe? Rutgers in the state of New Jersey. Why aren't we at this game tonight, Joe? Oregon, Rutgers.
Now, it was supposed to be last night from what I heard from the people that I know. It was supposed to be, but they, earlier in the year, like in the offseason, and now they made it a Saturday night. I would take the 17.5. With Rutgers. This is the biggest game that you could make. The argument dating back to maybe 2006 when they had top-ranked Louisville come in there. I know Rutgers hasn't been living up to expectations, but 3 touchdowns and a half a point. I would take the Scarlet Knights. I think it's an under. I can't. I mean, Dan Lanning and Oregon are going to be like, we're going from Eugene to this.
Yeah.
You ever see Piscataway? It's nice.
But I've been there.
It's like a high school field.
First season they had the new stadium. It
is a hornet's nest when it's packed out. It should be jam-packed tonight.
Back in the day with Judge Ito kicking the football, the old Shiano.
That was 2006.
Who'd you have, Leonard at fullback?
Leonard, Ray Rice, Mike Teal.
Give me a wide out.
Britt.
Man, they were good back then. Are we ever going to get that back for Rutgers?
Well, hopefully if Shiano wins this game, maybe. Got to keep the New Jersey talent in state.
You know how you get Rutgers back? Let people in the state of New Jersey bet on Rutgers. That's how you get Rutgers back, people. That's the way it gets down here. And by the way, hour number 1 down, hour number 2 on the way. The biggest games, the biggest prop bets. You don't want to go anywhere. It's SportsGrid. College football today. Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi.
At some point this year, next year, states are going to ask for Kalshi to be taxed. And I think they're going to have to pay taxes if they continue to operate in this space. Specifically, the state of Pennsylvania is looking and saying, hey, our sports books are paying us tax money every month to do the same thing you guys are doing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here